All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back this morning. More stock tampering. This is unbelievable. Up, down, up, down, up, down. See, but JLR saying this might not be over with.
Investigates, monitoring what's going on in the market. Thanks for spending a little bit of time with me this morning. We will be back tomorrow morning talking about this too. We'll see what happens later on today. Stay safe out there. Monitor your money. What in the heck is going on here? We're out here investigating the situation. We'll talk soon. Thanks for watching, everyone. JLR Investigates.
All right, folks, go over there and check out JLRs. Let's see what else we can find on this stock market stuff. A lot of talk going on. A lot of people, was this all planned? Was it all staged? That's what some of the professionals are saying. If Trump yesterday was telling people to buy. I wonder, ain't that like stock something against the law there, where they're giving insider information or something to buy? Buy, sell. Hold on, I'm looking for some more feeds to this whole thing with the a $509 drug bust. Holy cow! Bunch of cocaine. A bunch of the White House's cocaine has got picked up by Elon and Doge, the double OJs. Oh my God, we're gonna be going crazy.
Secretary of the Army, Dan Driscoll. So the Washington Post reporting that, also Reuters reporting that as well. Reuters was the first to report this leadership change, which they report the Justice Department had not disclosed publicly. And as of this afternoon, Patel's photo and title of acting director was still listed on the ATF's website. Not entirely sure why this move happened. And we'll wait and see whether or not the Trump administration puts up a name that can be Senate confirmed to lead ATF. But for now, Kash Patel losing this in his portfolio, it will now go to the Army Secretary Dan Driscoll. Well, earlier today, we heard from both Patel and the FBI director, or rather the Attorney General, Pam Bondi. They were speaking there in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, holding a news conference at Port Everglades as the Coast Guard readied to offload more than $500 million in illegal drugs. Let's listen to both Bondi and Patel here.
Thank you all for being here today. Today's operation is an example of the unprecedented collaboration between the military and the Department of Justice components, working closely with the U.S. Coast Guard. And look at all these great men and women in the Coast Guard. Thank you so much for your dedication. This is a textbook example of the Justice Department supporting the fight against violent crime. These drugs are worth over $500 million. Almost 45,000 pounds of cocaine, pure cocaine, uncut, and 3,800 pounds of marijuana. Congratulations again to the Coast Guard. You have done incredible work, Admiral, and your team, Captain, in securing these drugs. This team, with all the agencies I just mentioned, used drones, aircraft, and ships to interdict the traffickers off the coast of Peru, Ecuador, and the Galapagos Islands. What they did saved countless American lives, countless lives. This cocaine would have been distributed throughout our country and perhaps throughout our world.
Yes, you did. You saved a lot of people's lives inside the White House.
11 separate
because that was their cocaine
prosecutions will
shipments
take
of the year.
place as a result of this, and they will be
They're not gonna be
prosecuted in the
too
Middle
happy, I can
District
tell
of
you that.
Florida.
There's going to be some cranky
These
people at the
defendants
White
will
House.
be held accountable for bringing this poison into our country. I always say if we can save one life, we have done amazing work. And today we have saved thousands and thousands of lives as a result of this incredible cooperation.
Amen. You saved
We
them.
believe two cartels,
That shipment was on its way right to
CJ&G
the...
and Sinaloa, were heavily
Right to the
tied
big
to these
dogs.
shipments. This is
Where they
a
trickle
major blow
into
to their
Congress then.
financial operations and their efforts to distribute drugs throughout our country. It's an example of a prosecutor-led, intelligence-driven approach to stopping these criminal enterprises in their tracks. DOJ and all of the agencies involved will continue to dismantle this transnational criminal organization, lock these criminals up, and keep our country safe. The drugs that you have seen today will no longer destroy lives. They will help us lock up the criminals.
They're saying
Thank
over
you all, and it is
$500
my
billion
honor
worth
to
of
introduce
cocaine.
the director of the Federal Bureau of Investigation,
The old
Kash
gander,
Patel.
the old Peruvian flake. But this is garbage cocaine.
Thank you all for being here.
It's garbage.
General Bondi, we're here today because of
That's
your
what they're not
dedicated
telling you.
leadership
When
to
Pablo
safeguard American
and
lives.
some of the
Because you had the courage
great
to
cooks
follow President
within
Trump's courage
Ether base,
to put our children
when they
first
died,
and to make sure
that's when cocaine
that the narco
lost
traffickers,
the
and make no
recipe.
mistake, this administration
garbage
has
anyway.
labeled them
I wouldn't
foreign
buy it if
terrorist
you
organizations
gave it to me
because
for
that's
free.
what they are. There is no lethal force on planet Earth that is responsible for an overdose death of an American citizen every 7 minutes, more so than these federal terrorist organizations, foreign terrorist organizations.
Morning, Ashworth.
We are humbled to be a part of this Department of Justice, and we are going to continue to safeguard our streets. This is what it looks like when the United States whole of government approach brings every resource to bear, from the Department of Defense and the United States Coast Guard, from HSI, from FBI, from DEA, and so many others. They are going to get all the drugs off the streets, off the markets, and as Attorney General Bondi said, we are going to lock them up. They are no longer going to be free to roam. We are going to dismantle the next man up theory that has been breeding in these Mexican cartels for generations. No more. We are here today because of your brave work. The men and women of the FBI that I lead, I'm humbled and honored to be here in South Florida, where I spent so much of my career before I moved to Washington, D.C. And looking around, I'm awe-inspired by the fact that when you take the rules and regulations that blockaded these brave men and women of law enforcement, military, and you unshackle them, then you should look at this seizure and you should see how much it multiplies and see how many children and how many young adults and how many adults' lives that we have just saved. They did it. We're fortunate to be their leaders. We're humbled to be here. And you will see this happen across the country because this is not a one-off for General Bondi. She has made this a mission priority, and the FBI will follow in every corner of this country and every square centimeter of this planet to eradicate the narco traffickers and the foreign terrorist organizations that are killing American citizens. They will be held accountable. We will take preventive measures, and we will scour the ends of the earth to find every single one of them. Thank you so much for being here today.
Good morning. We welcome the crew of the James back from a remarkable patrol where they seized $510 million of illegal drugs, that's cocaine and marijuana, that was interdicted at sea before it can reach the U.S. border. So what does that number actually mean? You know, what does the number besides the dollar sign mean? It means 154 lives saved directly from cocaine-related overdose deaths in this country. It means that there's almost 11,000 less new cocaine users that are going to get access to the drugs. It means that we've saved at least $16.5 million on costs related to inmate care and health care for people inflicted with these drugs. And from the Coast Guard standpoint, what this really means is a beautiful ship like the James heralds a new time for us, a new time of assets that impact the United States strategies for countering these cartels in new ways and disrupting the flow of illegal drugs. Just since February, the combined efforts of Coast Guard cutters James, Stone, Weishi, and Mohawk yielded over 59 metric tons of narcotics seized. That's $1.5 billion of revenue to the cartels. This success is a team success made possible through the dedication and coordination of our partners in DHS, DOD, and DOJ. Every day, the Coast Guard controls, secures, and defends the border and maritime approaches of this country, proudly serving as part of DHS at all times and as a military service and part of the armed forces. On the water and in the air, the Coast Guard and our partners are on the front lines to fight against these foreign terrorist organizations, including the cartels and other dangerous criminals who seek to traffic bulk cocaine, including illegal fentanyl and other deadly drugs, from entering into our communities. Under our DHS leadership, the Coast Guard has worked diligently to harden and secure the U.S. southern border and maritime approaches. Our message.
So my question is was any of that cannabis on its way to any of these distributors in America? Right? It might be hurting some. Boy, there's going to be a lot of cranky people today, if that's true. Right? Whoever's going to the cannabis stores, like, hey, you got my purple passion punch Willy Wonkas in yet? No. I got seized. We won't be getting them in. My God. It's just a matter of time. It's like stocks up and down, people jumping out of windows. I wish I could have had Mr. JLR pull a stunt yesterday and jump out his window. Being that he lives on a ranch, it's a couple feet to the ground. That's just another thing they're monkeying with. Make them think that we're doing something when really we're doing nothing. Right? And they probably ain't. It's probably a shipment that they already had. And they're like, bring it out so we can act like we did something. I mean, we got to take their minds off of of us tampering with the stocks. All right, let's see what old Trump signed in today. Exclusive orders 16 hours ago. 16 hours ago, 1 day ago. Not really too much going on. Not really seeing. JLR is really pretty much the only one covering the whole stock. I see something on there. I see a guy. Hold on. Markets manipulation. Ooh, 2 hours ago. Red flags. We got problem. This would. No, they just don't. They never listen. I mean, I seen this movie, Mr. Trump, President Trump. It was called Wolf of Wall Street, which I might say it was a very great movie, especially with Leonardo DiCaprio. That guy was great. I also loved him in The Aviator. I think maybe one of his best films was The Aviator and Shutter Island. That was good too. Oh, and that one, Fast as Fast Can Be, You Will Never Catch Me, I think it was, or whatever it was. All right, let's check out this stock market. 2 hours ago, stock market's up and down. These folks are being manipulated.
Ray knows he needs to get those dental implants.
I'm being
but for the
possessed
price,
by
will they
John
really
Blue
work
Texas.
as hard as
Somebody
he
help
does?
me, save me.
That's a tall order. Time to give you a break, Ray. Aspen Dental offers quality implants Made to last a lifetime
Hold on a
and
minute, folks.
affordable to you.
Copy
Now
this,
25% off.
put it inside
Serving
my
up
tab.
quality and affordable care in dental implants. It's one more way Aspen Dental is in your corner.
You ripped me off already.
The question is a very simple one. Did Donald Trump intentionally tank the market by tariffing the world so that once the market crashed and he removed a lot of those tariffs or pressed pause on it and the market shot back up, that he would enrich himself and his billionaire friends? I want to explore this
Bingo.
with you, and I want to share with you what certain Democratic senators and members of Congress are doing as they demand investigations into whether market manipulation took place. So let's take a look at this and analyze it through a legal prism. As a law professor, let me try to walk us all through this. So earlier yesterday morning, kind of first thing in the morning, Donald Trump made the following two posts. Be cool. Everything is going to work out well. The USA will be bigger and better than ever before, exclamation point. He followed up by saying in all caps, this is a great time to buy, exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point, DJT. Now, under United States securities law, and really the very existence of the Securities and Exchange Commission is to prevent behavior like this. Because could you imagine if the CEO of a company or an executive of the company posted out, buy the stock now, buy, what do you think would happen? It would manipulate the market and people would go and buy, or insiders would say that's a signal, and then maybe temporarily the stock would go
Back
up.
in
And then
my
if
day,
it
it
crashed
was
again,
called a tip,
retail investors and people can
which
get
we usually
screwed.
got at
Insiders
horse
can
races,
benefit off
like
of this
that.
knowledge, and the knowledge
Inside
is
tip.
contained and controlled by insiders. That's
I
why
knew it was just
there are all
matter
these
of time
laws
when
against
people in this
insider
world
trading.
find
So, you know,
people
Donald
like,
Trump and his regime members, all
you
of
do
his
that, now they're gonna
propagandists, the
bust your
Treasury
balls.
Secretary Scott Bessent, the Commerce
And that's
Secretary Howard Lutnick, his press
not a ball
secretary,
busting gonna be
propagandist
happening.
Caroline Levitt, and Trump have been saying there will never be a pause ever in these tariffs that Donald Trump placed against the world. They will always remain in effect. Tariffs are the greatest thing ever. It's going to make America rich. We will not back down on tariffs. In fact, Donald Trump's trade representative, who ostensibly is the person who came up with the tariff formula, was testifying over the past 2 days, first in front of the Senate, then in front of the House of Representatives, saying that the tariffs will always remain in effect. In fact, he was testifying, Jameson Greer was testifying to that effect, that the tariffs are not going to be removed, when Donald Trump then posted around noon yesterday, at least my time, based on the lack of respect that China has shown to the world's markets. I'm raising the tariffs to China, he says, by 125%. He then says, though, he's pausing the tariffs as it relates to everybody else. He says the tariffs are otherwise going to be paused. And then what happened? The stock markets just started surging up, and they went from crashing to basically having the best gains on a day-to-day basis in a very long time. It should be noted that during some of the periods of the greatest market crashes, the great recessions of kind of the 2008 period, and also during COVID as well, some of the biggest losses were then followed by the biggest gains. It's demonstrative of market volatility. But while the market all of a sudden accelerated up, first question was there a test of this a few days before? Did the Trump regime or insiders test this out to see if this was going to make the market surge? Did they run a test? I'll get into that in a
They
second.
probably ran it through
But
the
first, I want to talk
supercomputer,
about
and it said,
tracking
"Oh,
some
we'll
of
make tons of
these
money. We're gonna crash it,
exchange-traded funds.
and then we'll
These
put
exchange-traded
it
funds,
back,
they have these
and then
funny names
everyone will
like
buy.
QQQ or like QQQT or SPY,
So yeah, it's very
SPY.
well
But all
possible.
these
Computer
exchange-traded
ran
funds
first to
basically
make
mean
sure
is they seek to
that it
provide
would work.
investment results that before expenses correspond generally to the price and yield performances of the different indexes. So like the QQQ follows NASDAQ, SPY follows the S&P 500. So when you take a look at this, there's very suspicious trading taking place. The unusual whales account explains it over here. Now that you have the background on QQQ, and it's TQQQ, these are these exchange traded funds, and SPY. Remember, those just track the indexes. All right, this is what this account says. All right, I think people knew of the tariff pause and traded on it beforehand. You can see before Trump posted buy on Truth Social, traders opened QQQ, TQQQ, and SPY calls. Right before the news, someone opened SPY 509 calls expiring, get this, today. So those calls were up 2,100% in 1 hour. You take a look at these charts, you can see all of the volume that was literally open today. Look at that little green arrow right there. You can see all the volume is new opening volume, not only on the 0 days, but also on the weekly QQQ and TQQ calls. This is especially odd given the IVR on these was around 82 this morning, through the roof. The traders really wanted to trade directionally here. In fact, using unusual premium, you can see people have been loading calls, trading for a reversal following these open calls. Very clear example right here. And then other example, the market exploded a few hours later after Donald Trump paused the tariffs. You can actually see right after Donald Trump posted on Trump media, on
I don't
Truth
know.
Social,
Maybe this
the
guy's
call
onto
premiums
something. Maybe this
exploded.
is just a
So
dry
those
run.
traders who waited then, though,
And we do a
they
lot of
exited
this,
over
you know,
300%
stuff and
up
everything.
today.
They do a
You can
test
see right here
see if it'll work.
what the behavior of the market
Maybe
right
that's
there, of
what they
people
did.
trading
This
the
is
Trump media right
This
there.
was just a test
So
run.
now go back, rewind
If
a
it
little
would
bit for
work.
a second, right?
Right. So maybe these people are
And
on
remember what happened on April 7th, 2025.
And that's
Whatever
what's
this
happening.
account is, this Walter Bloomberg account reported the following. Kevin Hassett, Trump's top economic advisor, Trump is considering a 90-day pause in tariffs for all countries except China. That was from Monday, April 7th. And then the Trump regime walked it back. But what we saw immediately is the stocks went up like 1,000 points, or like 3-4%. And then they went down, 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 down again. So the question was that information leaked out there into the market as a trial balloon, as a test earlier in the week? Then the Trump regime said, I got it. This will have the effect of pumping the market, and we can create a pump and dump scenario. I'm asking questions right here.
You know, what this guy is saying is possible. Very possible. But once they do this, if they did do this, now the big dogs are coming in probably because that's manipulating the stocks, and that's against the law. I mean, I don't know if people know that. I mean, people are like, this ain't the movie Wall Street, right? Wolf of Wall Street. But I keep telling you folks, movies are real, right? The effects and all the death and the madness is fake. But the scenario, the whole base, the thing of the story was based on a real story. So yeah, it very well might be. All right, what else we got out here today? Let's see what else we got going. Can we find anything good this morning? Can we find anything good? Oh, let's see what CNN is saying. Oh, hold on a minute. I got to post CNN in my chat. This was just put out by CNN.
So being able to monitor what's going And out front now, longtime tech stocks analyst Dan Ives, as I promised, Peter Tuchman, one of the most recognizable traders on Wall Street. You're seeing his reaction today as the markets moved. I think that's a fair encapsulation of the moment. And noted economic analyst Jim Bianco is also here with me. So, Dan, you call all of this an epic debacle, which is far from over.
Welcome to the twilight zone. I think if you actually think about how this is playing out is, look, China continues to be front and center because the reality is when it comes to Apple, tech, food chain, most consumers, electronics, that's
Amazon.com.
I mean, that's coming to the shores. That's coming to the U.S. consumer. But ultimately, there's one thing, and there's one, ultimately financial instrument you can't bully. Mark, as Jim knows well. And once that 10-year, 4.5, it became really shown this is a dark cloud that Trump couldn't talk his way out of. Need to back off the cliff. Definitely huge good news. What I say good news today. But the China, that's really going to be the issue front and center in terms of where this plays out.
We showed your reaction today. Here we are.
I mean, it was an odd day. Let's look back for a couple of days. We did see it, what I'm calling a little bit of a test run, when they released that news 2 days ago about what Bill Ackman had said, that what is it going to take for people to start buying stocks again? We talked about it.
Right. Would there be a 90-day pause? White House called it fake news, but you had a temporary rally.
But you saw the market react, and that was the test, the test run for what happened today. Can you imagine if he had actually done that and the market did not react that way? So he needed to know that if he in fact did that the market would react the way it did. And it was with the ban. I mean, the rally, that was trillions of dollars, right? Yep. We saw that. There was the initial little note that Bessent had changed his decision to go meet with some Congress people and was called to the White House. The next thing you see is Trump on Truth Social announcing the 90-day pause in the exact same words that had happened 2 days ago. And the market's reaction was incredible. I mean, you're talking, 500 points in the S&P, never seen before. 2,000 points up. We closed up on the Dow. I mean, the amount of money that came into that market, it was a number of things. It was probably a major short cover. It was a lot of real buying allocation of dollars into the marketplace.
So, but an incredibly unprecedented moment, Jim, that you say all of this, that is still unfolding, right? Still unfolding. But as you're watching that terrifying moment with what we saw in the bond market, it was terrifying. It was sort of at the precipice of, oh my, I don't know. You said it was a tell your grandchildren I was there moment. And I just want to play for you what Trump said today about the bond market.
The bond market is very tricky. I was watching it, but if you look at it now, it's beautiful. The bond market right now is beautiful. But yeah, I saw last night where people were getting a little queasy.
Queasy, Jim?
Yeah, I mean, it was that. We got to remember now, the foundation of our financial system is the cost of money. It's interest rates. I mean, some people think it's a boring investment, but it is a critically important thing. And when we saw that mass liquidation that was going on last night, everybody was selling everything they had. That meant the price of bonds were going down and interest rates were going up. If that had held for anything more than a few hours, we would have seen much higher mortgage rates, much higher borrowing costs for companies. It would have really had a negative impact on the economy in ways that we couldn't fathom. But fortunately, we come into today and the bond market backed off a little bit, and then we got the reversal of the policy. But it was still, one of the craziest days I've ever seen. I don't want to say the craziest day because we had COVID 5 years ago, but it's definitely up there with COVID as far as what we saw.
And just the unprecedented nature, Dan, of where we are. All right. And we emphasize, okay, this happened today. It came from my heart this morning. Who knows? 10% tariffs are still out there, 125% on China. 125% on China.